Hi, this is Sarah from Faith Living. This will be part two. Just a lot of time has passed since I was just recording part one. Had to kind of, I guess when issues arise, you learn on the fly, right? So there we go. I don't know much about doing all this, but I just realized that one thankful thing I have is we were able to find a SD card for my phone. It gives me a lot more space, but apparently, even though all that space was there, I forget how much it was, my phone was still recording just to the phone space and not to the SD card. So I just had to move all my content over. And so now I think I have a little bit of space to go ahead and continue my part two of what I'm talking about here, which is a prophet is not without honor, except in his own country, among his own relatives, and in his own house. So that was part one, and I'm going to continue that since I got interrupted, and now my train of thought is kind of like left. So hopefully I remember everything I was going to say. Oh, and so if you coming to this part two, please see part one first. So it kind of sets it up. I read the whole entire verse. Actually, it's not just that one verse, but a few verses in context there. So anyway, I was starting to get to the point, and I feel like this is where if you are a believer in Jesus, you know how this goes, where it feels like there's something important you're trying to tell somebody or do, and it seems like you're just interrupted, or all of a sudden, like if you have kids, they all of a sudden get really active, and like all of a sudden you can't get the words out because the kids are just so loud. And I've had that numerous times. Now, there could be the other side where maybe God doesn't want you to say something, and that's where you kind of got to use your discernment to figure out which one is it. The enemy trying to prevent you from saying the thing, or God trying to say, shh, shut your mouth, don't talk about that, don't share that, whatever, for whatever reason. So anyway, I feel like in this instance, he already confirmed it to me, because I feel like I read this verse earlier today, and then this thing came up that totally made me think they go together. And this is not what I wanted to talk about today, but I feel like God's saying, do it. Anyway, so talking about, main thing I'm trying to get to is like, I'm not saying that we're prophets or anything like that. I'm just trying to say that, I think it doesn't necessarily mean just like a prophet, like as in the word, a prophet, somebody that prophesies things. But I feel like it could be applied to also, just a person, like God shows you things, and, you want to go share it with people. And it feels like people that are closest to you, whom you think would listen to what you have to say, might not actually listen to what you have to say. They might, for some reason, there's like this, like a battery, when you do the opposite ends, or the same ends. Oh gosh. Anyway, when the battery comes together and it's not correct, it's like you're putting it together and it's like no, so for some reason it seems like when you're trying to share some important information with people, and I don't know if it's just like necessarily if it has to do with believers, unbelievers, I don't know what it is, or they just what it is, I don't know. It just feels like sometimes they don't want to accept what you're saying if they're really close to you, and other people will accept it, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of like the exact. I just feel like in this situation, it's certain people close to us just don't believe what we're saying. It's just weird. It's like we share things with them from our personal experience, or, we learn about something going on in the world and we share it, and it's just like, it's like that magnet thing. And it's like, nope. You're talking about this thing and I don't want to listen to you, and it's so weird because it's not just, it's like multiple things. So I feel like now at this point, it's not just, maybe they just don't want to hear it because it's that one topic, maybe it's, I don't know, anything political, maybe it's, religious, maybe it's whatever, but I feel like it's like almost everything. It's just kind of weird. It's just weird. I'm just seeing it. I'm curious if you out there have ever experienced that too, where it just feels like the people closest to you, whether it's friends or family, or maybe who is it? Is it your friends, your family? What is it? Or classmates, colleagues, whatever. They just like, no matter, they just don't want to believe you on certain things. And so in a way you have to just kind of, I found over time, especially, I don't want to even call it religious. Believing in God is not, I just feel like it's not religious. That's just, no, it's like, it's just, it's a lifestyle. You believe in God or you don't. And you believe in what the Bible says. And it's not like about religious, like I need to do this thing a certain way. It's like, it's this relationship with Jesus. That's what it is. And I think that's, I don't know, I feel like that's another topic. But a lot of times churches and pastors and all these people just try to make you think it's like this strict religious thing. And it's like, no, it's like this thing that I never learned as a kid, that it's a relationship with Jesus. That's what it is. It becomes a lifestyle. It's like this connection. It's not like he's this big guy and he doesn't care about you. It's like he actually cares about you and he just wants to talk to you and meet you right where you're at. So, like, it's not like you have to be like, not sinning and then you can go talk to Jesus. It's not like you have to go to a pastor or a priest and be like, okay, I got to tell you my sin so I can go talk to Jesus. It's like, no. It's you connect to Jesus, like wherever you're at. If you don't even believe in him, get on your knees and just say, hey God, I don't know who you are, but show me, reveal yourself to me and forgive me of what I've done and show me what I'm supposed to do, and just like get that connection. And then for us believers that, maybe we've kind of fallen away, what people would say, and like, you just don't feel that connection to God, you just reconnect with him. It's just like, just get reconnected. Like, Jesus, please, I going doing my own thing for a while. Can you please just connect with me and let's get going again? It's like, you'll just pick right back up, where you left off. It's like your best friend, that's what it is. It's just somebody always there. Maybe you're busy for a while, but as soon as you're ready, it's like, he's ready to go and he wants to be there with you. Anyway, that's another thing. Anyway, so it just feels like, so especially with the believing in God and the faith, I feel like definitely people close to me didn't like that. When I first became a believer. Anyway, I feel like I'm going to go into so many things, but there's so much to it and I'm trying to stay focused. But it felt like definitely believing in God, magnet. It's like, nope, doesn't compute. Sorry. A lot of people were pushed away because they're like, no, I don't want you, like Jesus now. I don't care about Jesus. That's one thing. They won't listen to you because they just don't like it. Anyway, so we've had that thing with faith, but then I also feel like I'm noticing it with like things like schooling and medical, especially recently. But schooling, like, it just feels like we have been, a lot of people will notice this, if you're a homeschooler, which we are, and it's more accepted now since some big event happened in 2020. You know what I'm talking about. Anybody in the world will know what that means. So since then, homeschooling's more accepted. It feels like all of a sudden it's just like we reached over this hurdle and it's like people accept it more, although now there's more people are trying to go against it because the system doesn't want you teaching your kids, although you know best for your kids. Anyway, separate thing there. So, but it feels like at the beginning when we started homeschooling, and I found this from a lot of people when they first started homeschooling, is that people want to push back and be like, are you sure? Like there's the school system, they know best, okay, so yes, they went and studied, got a degree, and they did studying on teaching that, but you're a parent, you learn your child, you learn all their strengths, weaknesses, so you can teach them the best. I mean, sometimes you might need somebody that maybe your child is just really into science, maybe that's not your strength, and maybe you can seek out a homeschool co-op or online class or something like that for your kid. But for the most part, your child best, and you're going to find the best things for your child, and what your strengths and weaknesses are, so you can be, get somebody else that might be stronger in that area to teach your kid, if you need to do that. But anyway, there's a lot of pushback. Okay, so it felt like the pushback that we got was from those closest to us for faith and schooling, at least at the beginning. Now it's kind of a little changing again because people are seeing the fruit of the labor, also medical stuff. I mean, that's another thing. I feel like I can do a video on that, but my husband and I basically went on a health journey right after we got married. So we've been married about 15 and a half years now. And right after we got married, but before we had our first child, our child is like 13 and a half now. And so in that time period, this 2-year window, we kind of started going on this health journey, like just like, I don't even know how it prompted. I guess it was just God did it. But just, I had some liver damage from, past life experience. And I didn't really like that. And I wanted to change that up. And then we started looking at like things like juicing and smoothies and all these things, all the health stuff, We even did gluten-free diet, even though we didn't know at the time that either of us had a gluten issue. Since did find some of that kind of stuff out. But, we kind of do those based on just like, those were the, trending things. We did a lot of different things, but I feel like we started cleaning up our diet. We stopped eating as much junk as we used to have. We stopped having as much, we did a lot of, the party thing earlier on. So, that was a lot of junk, alcohol and stuff, but also even just, not really even having a desire for that. Like, not even, I'm not saying drinking a beer or a glass of wine is like, oh my gosh, you're a believer, how dare you. There are times in the Bible it talks about drinking wine for your many infirmities. It does say that. But I found sometimes pastors skip over that part. They'll read up into the part and then they skip the rest of it. Some people might not be able to handle that, drinking. So maybe they have an issue with it and so they shouldn't have it. But I think an occasional here and there is fine. I don't do it while I'm pregnant. So all that to say, like, we cleaned up our diet before having kids. So we've been on this long journey of medical stuff and it feels like we've learned a lot. We've done a lot of research on our own and, so going back to the topic of, not without honor except in your own country or whatever. And I don't think it necessarily means specifically like you're not without honor specifically in your country. So United States, France, Europe, that's a continent, but all the countries in Europe, whatever, Mexico. But just that maybe, for some reason there's just the polarization, this magnet that like it's like the part of the magnet that just pushes you apart. People don't want to, I don't know, just take the stuff you're saying. And I've even found that with my own self. Sometimes I've done that where I'm not sure, I don't believe, and I feel like I have to kind of like verify on my own. I guess it kind of goes with, even with my husband, he was the one originally, which this is rare, I feel like, with maybe with homeschool and home births and things like that, which we've done home births all 8 times. But he was the one. Usually it's the woman that wants to do this, the home birth, all that kind of stuff. But it was my husband that just believed God was telling us to do that. And I wasn't sure. So even here I am in our own household, I'm not believing him. I'm thinking, this is kind of weird. I don't know anything about this. I don't know anybody that's done this, except I did hear about one person eventually once I mentioned it. But so I had to do my own research, and so maybe the people we've talked to and don't want to accept certain things, believe certain things, maybe it's the first time they've heard it, so maybe they don't want to believe it, but they'll find out on their own. They'll go do their own research and check it out for themselves. And in a way, that could be a good thing. So they're not just accepting everything at like, oh, I heard this and I believe it immediately, but you hear it and you verify it, you go research it, you check on it. Because some people out there, especially in this day and age, they lie to you. So you really got to do your own research. So, but it is interesting, in this verse, Jesus talking about, he couldn't, because of their unbelief, he couldn't heal them. So it's kind of it's just interesting. It's like, it's just really an interesting thing that, to have that and to actually, experience that, I guess, too. Anyway, so this was Sarah with Faith Living, and this was part 2. And if I think of other things related to this, I'll put it on the next one.